मैं जरा लाइव जोड़ लूं फेसबुक में।
Shall I start now?
I'm just starting with the Facebook. Just give me 2 minutes, please.
Okay.
Namaskar. It is a great privilege for us to have together on this very special occasion to listening to a special series of talk which would be starting from today. And we would be having a simultaneous broadcast, live telecast on Facebook. I am very happy to inform that we all have joined here under the banner of RSVP, Rashtriya Samaj Vigyan Parishad. And amongst us, we have our Mananiya Professor P.V. Krishna Bhatt ji, Adaraniya Rajkumar Bhatia ji, Dr. Sheila Rai ji, and also we have Professor A.D.N. Vajpayee. And we are having so many other dignitaries here to join today. I would like to request in the beginning, because we have Professor Ganesh Shatavadani coming here to give us very, very significant ideas how to manage our study of RSVP subject related to social sciences. So in the beginning, I would request Professor A.D.N. Vajpayee to preside over this webinar.
Thank you very much.
And kindly allow me to ask Professor Krishna Bhatt ji to give some words about today's and how he has got here. Yeah, thank you so much, Professor Maniya Krishna Bhatt ji.
आदरणीय शतावधानी गणेश जी, माननीय एडीएन वाजपेयी जी, श्रीमती शीला जी और सभी विद्वज्जन जो इस वेबिनार में भाग ले रहे हैं। आज का एक बहुत ही विशेष कार्यक्रम है। सामाजिक विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में हम लोग काम कर रहे हैं। सामाजिक विज्ञान के क्षेत्र में जो कुछ भी विमर्श चर्चाएं वहां पर हो रही हैं, हमारा अनुभव ये रहा है कि बहुत सारे पश्चिमाभिमुखी हैं या वेस्टर्न ओरिएंटेड हैं। पश्चिम के लोगों ने जो सिद्धांत उन्होंने प्रतिपादित किया और हमारे समाज के बारे में भी उन लोगों ने जो कहा, उसी को हम रिपीट करते जा रहे हैं, उसी की व्याख्या हम करते आए हैं और आंख मूंद कर उसको हमने एक दृष्टि से एक्सेप्ट कर लिया है। एलेक्स कैरल का एक वाक्य मुझे याद आता है। उसने कहा था अपनी किताब मैन द अननोन में, इन फैक्ट our ignorance about ourselves is quite profound. So it is under this profound ignorance that we have all been operating regarding our own tradition, our own culture, our own values, our own social systems and all that. And the same thing is being carried on. It is transferred to the younger community also. The students also go with the same ideas and with a very negative perception about our own culture, our own social system and our own values. Therefore, although we became politically independent a few years ago, we are yet to become ideologically and in our thought system independent. And it is with this purpose that the Rashtriya Samaj Vigyan Parishad has been functioning for the last few years. And in this connection, we wanted to have a thorough discussion and understanding of our own intellectual heritage. It's our thought system. The social sciences developed in the Western countries during the last few centuries. But ours is a several thousand years old civilization. Our people had thought upon all the minute details of our individual and social life since times immemorial. The history also has been unable to exactly fix up the date of our heritage. So, several thousand years ago, all these matters. In these days, I am listening to the lecture series by Dr. Shatabdhani Ganesh. He is speaking on the Mahabharata, and it is something astonishing how into all the details of our economics, our sociology, and our social life, our forefathers have shown their deep thinking and profound ideas. So in this way, first of all, it is necessary that we must know about our own past, our own culture, our own values of life. And for this purpose, we wanted to have a discussion, and I think under the present circumstances, we could not find a better person than Shatabdhani Ganesh to give a discourse to enlighten us on these matters. His is a very unique personality, very extraordinary personality. He is basically, he is a graduate in engineering, a bachelor of engineer, and later on, he developed an interest in literature, and he had a very thorough study of the literature in different languages. He has mastered Kannada literature, Sanskrit literature, Telugu literature, and he has got mastery in the fields of music, dance, art, and so many things. It is really something astonishing whether one person can have mastery over so many different fields of thought and ideas. But we are finding a living example before us. He knows 17 languages. Not only knows languages, he can perform the art of avadana in 3 languages at least, in Kannada, in Sanskrit, in Telugu also, and he has read all the basic classical literature in Prakrit, Pali, Tamil, English, Hindi, Marathi, Gujarati, Malayalam, Greek, Latin, and Italian. You can imagine the vastness of his study and his knowledge. And he is one of the, I think he is the only one master of the ancient art of avadhana who can perform avadhana in 3 or 4 different languages. There are many other avadhanis, but they cannot perform in more than 1 language. He has got the ability to perform avadhana in several languages, and he has performed more than 1,000 ashtabadhanas and several shatabadhanas. Shatabadhanas is a very rare, very unimaginable intellectual feat where there will be 100 questioners. They will be sitting around him and they will raise questions on different issues, and the avadhani will have to, without any supporting material, writing material or any such thing, will have to readily answer them by composing poems in a poetic form. And they will also quote from some scripture or some literature. You will have to annotate the words from that scripture. So in this way, it is a very extremely extraordinary intellectual feat. We are also interested, and we have got a desire to organize one of his Savadhana programs under the auspices of our Rashtriya Samaj Vigyan Parishad. We are finding for a suitable opportunity, and probably we may be able to have it sooner than later, as soon as this corona crisis comes to an end. So it is really his greatness that he has accepted to give us a talk on these matters, and totally it will be a 1.5 hour session, and his lectures will be followed by questions and answers also. it will not be a kind of a lecture series. Rather, it will be a kind of a classroom lectures, wherein he will be addressing the students and he will be clarifying their doubts, and he will be answering their questions also. And I think the participants will make best use of the opportunity given to us. And it is an occasion for us to understand our own heritage, our own background, our own culture, about which we have been given a very distorted impression and a distorted picture. And the first thing that needs to be done is to de-educate our younger peoples and then to re-educate them. And this process of de-education and re-education with regard to the cultural matters will be undertaken through this series of lectures. And I request Dr. Ganeshji to enlighten us on all these basic issues which are of very great relevance from a national perspective, from the point of view of the desired changes that we want to bring about in our society. And these few words, I just introduced Dr. Ganeshji to the learned audience present here. And Dr. Sheilaji will be speaking about, she will be introducing about the subject and the kind of the program that we are going to have during the coming days. Thank you, Manila.
जी धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद आपका। डॉक्टर शीला राय जी, जैसे मैंने बताया, she is our general secretary for RSVP, and she has been very keenly involved in this kind of planning. She would tell us about the objectives and aim of such series of lectures which would be helpful to RSVP participants. I would request Sheila ji to say in a few words about the aims and objective of this lecture series. Thank you.
Thank you, Amarjeev ji, and namaskar, and thank you, Krishna Bhatt ji. You have actually created the right environment for it. I don't think I need to speak much. I understand that we have participants both from north and south, and since Krishna Bhatt ji has enlightened largely the audience, and just for the benefit also for more of our North Indian people from the Hindi heartland, I would like to apprise you, and in between I will also tell the others कि हमारी जो आज जो गेस्ट आए हैं बोलने, मैं आपको प्रारंभ में ये बता दूं कि शताब्धानी गणेश जी के बारे में जब कृष्ण भट्ट जी ने हम लोगों को बताया, तो जो मैं गणेश जी को भी बताना चाहती हूँ कि उन्होंने कहा पूरे देश में मैंने उनके समान कोई विद्वान नहीं देखा और इतना गिफ्टेड व्यक्ति नहीं देखा। अगर कृष्ण भट्ट जी ऐसा कह रहे हैं तो आप कल्पना कर सकते हैं कि ये कितने महान एंड एक्सेलेंटली एंडाउड पर्सनालिटी हैं। तो शताब्धानी गणेश जी जो इंजीनियरिंग किए हुए व्यक्ति, आप लोग सब देख रहे हैं इनका सीवी, इनके सीवी को ही देख के हम लोग धन्य हो जाते हैं कि वो इंजीनियरिंग किए हुए और मास्टर ऑफ साइंस, आप कल्पना करें, मेटल साइंस एंड मटेरियल साइंस एंड मेटलर्जी के पश्चात संस्कृत और कन्नड़ा में उन्होंने डीलिट किया है, मास्टर ऑफ आर्ट्स किया है संस्कृत में और कन्नड़ में। और सबसे विलक्षण बात यह है कि एक इंजीनियर होते हुए ये अगर काव्य कला में, दर्शन में, साहित्य में, नृत्य में और तो और रंगमंच में, सभी कलाओं में ना ही पारंगत हैं, उसके ज्ञान के बारे में विश्लेषण करते हैं और इन्होंने इतनी पुस्तकों की रचना की है जिनको देखकर ऐसा लगता है कि ये मानवीय नहीं, अति मानवीय क्षमताओं से ये पूरी तरह से ईश्वर ने उनको वरदान प्रदान किया है। इन्होंने अनेक प्रकार के पदों पर ये कार्यरत रहे हैं। ये देख रहे हैं आप कि वो इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में भी रहे हैं, तो डायरेक्टर ऑफ संस्कृत स्टडीज भारतीय विद्या भवन में भी रहे हैं। आप ऑनररी विजिटिंग प्रोफेसर नेशनल इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ मेंटल हेल्थ एंड न्यूरो साइंसेस भी रहे हैं। कहने का तात्पर्य इनके कार्य का क्षेत्र बहुत व्यापक है और ये डीलिट डिग्री इनको मिली हुई है तुमकुर यूनिवर्सिटी से और विभिन्न प्रकार के सीनियर फेलोशिप से इनको विभूषित किया गया है। और इनका जिस प्रकार के ये ऑनर्स देख रहे हैं, इनको पढ़ने में ही हमें काफी समय लगेगा। ये आप सब के लिए उपलब्ध है कि आप ये देख सके। जो एक बात मैं यहाँ बताना चाह रही हूँ, 10,000 घंटों के लेक्चर्स प्रदान करना आपने तो समस्त शिक्षकों के समूह को ही एक प्रकार से अपने अंदर वो ज्ञान और वो प्रतिभा समाहित कर लिया है, जिससे कि हम सब अभिभूत ही नहीं बल्कि आश्चर्यचकित भी हैं। और इनकी लेखनी बहुत प्रखर है। इन्होंने अनेक प्रकार के साहित्य की रचना की है, जिस रचना में ये ह्यूमन वैल्यूज पर भी इन्होंने लिखा है। अमरजीत जी, यू कैन कीप स्क्रॉलिंग इट। और इन्होंने रामायण पे भी लिखा है, महाकाव्यों पर तो उनका कार्य है ही। और 17 भाषाओं में, मैं तो सोचती थी 14 भाषा, 17 भाषाओं में इन्होंने इतने साहित्य की रचना की है। और सबसे विलक्षण जो इनके गुण हैं, उसमें जो कृष्ण भट्ट जी बता रहे थे, मैंने तो आज तक इस प्रकार के जो कला का प्रदर्शन नहीं देखा, सुना ही है, जिसमें बिना किसी स्टेशनरी के 100 विद्वान बैठकर इम्प्रॉम्प्टू वहां पर आपको बात कहते हैं और उस पर काव्य रचना करेंगे और उस काव्य को स्मरण भी करेंगे और पुनः उस स्मृति के आधार पर अनेक प्रकार की सीमाओं के तहत आपको अपने उस ज्ञान का प्रदर्शन करना है। ये ना केवल mindfulness, ना केवल concentration, but the expanse of your knowledge, everything is put to test, and he has qualified brilliantly in these presentations. So we are so overwhelmed, sir, that you are here to guide us and to give us that basic knowledge, which you have immense, but we need a little bit to proceed in the matters which RSVP has taken upon itself to go for. So RSVP ka for those who have joined for the first time, but most of us know, are familiar with Rashtriya Samaj Vigyan Parishad, which was founded in 2008. Earlier, Sushma Yadav ji was the president. Professor Madhukar Shyam Chaturvedi ji was general secretary. After that, after his untimely demise, Professor Vajpayee has taken over, and now he is the president, and I happen to be bestowed with the duty and obligation of performing as General Secretary, which I am doing with the support of all of you. And Professor Krishna Bhatt ji is our patron, and our senior advisor, as you all know, is Rajkumar Bhatia ji. And RSVP has realized that despite this wealth of knowledge that we have in social sciences, which is present in folklore, also to a certain extent in literature, but that literature, because of our colonial past and the Marxist takeover after that in the academic institutions and mainstream, it is very ironical कि हम लोगों के अपने उस समृद्ध विरासत से हम अनभिज्ञ ही नहीं रहे, बल्कि हमारे शिक्षण केंद्रों में इस प्रकार के भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा का शिक्षण, अध्यापन और अनुसंधान जो होना चाहिए था, वो संभव नहीं हो पाया। और इसका परिणाम ये है कि हमारे ही युवा साथी अपने इस ज्ञान परंपरा से अनभिज्ञ रहने के कारण केवल पश्चिम में निर्मित ज्ञान का पुनरावृत्ति ही नहीं करते, केवल उसको ग्रहण करते हुए अपनी संस्कृति से उनका संबंध विच्छेद सा हो जाता है और एक सेंस ऑफ एलियनेशन होता है, रूटलेसनेस होता है, जिसकी पराकाष्ठा हमने JNU में वो टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग की जो चर्चा होती है उसमें देखा हमने। ये उन बच्चों का दोष नहीं है, ये हमारी शिक्षण व्यवस्था में भारतीय चिंतन, भारतीय संस्कृति, भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा का विद्यमान न होना, शिक्षा के मेन स्ट्रीम में उसका न होना, इसका परिणाम ये है कि वो बच्चे कंफ्यूज हैं। जिनको मैं बच्चे कह रही हूँ, मैं कहना ये चाह रही हूँ कि हमारे विश्वविद्यालयों, महाविद्यालयों में शिक्षित होकर जो युवा आ रहे हैं, उनका उसमें दोष कम। हमें इस शिक्षण के क्षेत्र में इन विषयों को केंद्रस्थ करते हुए इसके संदर्भ में लोगों का ज्ञानवर्धन करना है। तो हम RSVP इन्हीं विषयों पर केंद्रित होते हुए इस प्रकार की संगोष्ठियां, सम्मेलन, लेखन इत्यादि हमने प्रारंभ किया हुआ है। और हमें प्रसन्नता पूर्वक ये यहाँ बताना है कि राष्ट्रीय शिक्षा नीति ने भी भारतीय परंपरा को बहुत ज्यादा ध्यान में रखते हुए उसको पुनर्जीवित करने की ओर ध्यान आकर्षित किया है। तो हमने भी राष्ट्रीय समाज विज्ञान परिषद के ओर से समाज विज्ञानों को और कैसे सशक्त किया जा सकता है उसके संदर्भ में सुझाव दिया है। और मैं बिल्कुल संक्षेप में ये यहाँ बता दूं कि हमारे जो ये ज्ञान परंपरा है इसके पुरोधा जो हमारे बीच आज विद्यमान है, हमारा सौभाग्य है शतावधानी गणेश जी। हमने उनको आमंत्रित इसलिए किया है कि हमारे एकांतवास में तो अनेक ऐसे विद्वान हैं जो बहुत ज्ञानी हैं, लेकिन उस ज्ञान को आम व्यक्तियों तक और कम से कम शिक्षण क्षेत्रों तक इनका प्रसार नहीं हो पा रहा। तो शतावधानी गणेश जी के वक्तव्यों से, उनके संभाषणों से और हमारा उनके साथ इंटरेक्शन से जो प्राचीन साहित्य या वर्तमान में जो हमारे लिए समस्याएं हैं उनके समाधान के लिए अपनी परंपरा में, अपने ट्रेडिशंस में, अपने कल्चर में हम क्या ढूंढ सकते हैं, कैसे ढूंढ सकते हैं, जिससे हमारी जो वर्तमान है, हमारी जो वर्तमान पीढ़ी है, उनकी जो समस्या आ रही है उन समस्याओं का समाधान भी कैसे हो। क्या उनके लिए हम पश्चिम से ही सारे विचार ग्रहण करें या अपने साहित्य और संस्कृति से ग्रहण करें, उस साहित्य और संस्कृति को बनाते हुए और उसका अध्ययन अनुसंधान की न केवल प्रविधि बताएंगे बल्कि समाज विज्ञानों के जो प्रमुख विषय हैं उन विषयों पर प्रकाश डालेंगे। और मैं हर हफ्ते, हर सप्ताह एक लेक्चर का आयोजन किया जाएगा और प्रत्येक सप्ताह मैं अपने सभी पार्टिसिपेंट्स को बता दूं, आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन करा लिया, अब इसके पश्चात आपको कोई फी देने की आवश्यकता नहीं होगी। प्रत्येक सप्ताह आपको हमारे ये संभाषण प्रदान करेंगे, उन्होंने स्वीकृति प्रदान कर दी है शतावधानी गणेश जी ने, और हमें मार्गदर्शन प्रदान करेंगे कि किस प्रकार समाज विज्ञानों का अध्ययन करें जो प्रासंगिक भी हो, जो हमें आत्मसम्मान का विकास भी करे और देश के प्रति, अपनी संस्कृति और समाज के प्रति सम्मान का भाव भी विकसित करे। बहुत संक्षेप में, आई डोंट वांट टू स्टैंड बिटवीन यू एंड गणेश जी, सो
thank you so much, Sheila ji. Thank you so much for your kind words, and you have stolen the show. What we say in English, you have stolen the show. And with these words, I would very humbly request Dr. Ganesh Satavadani ji to come and enlighten us on the subject which we are waiting for last 2 months. जी, गणेश जी, आपका स्वागत।
ओम योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्तां सञ्जीवयति अखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्ना अन्यांश हस्तचरणश्रवणत्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यं दिक्कालाद्यनवच्छिन्नानन्तचिन्मात्रमूर्तये स्वानुभूत्यैकमानाय नमः शान्ताय तेजसे चिदानन्दकलां वाणीं वन्दे चन्द्रकलाधरां नैर्मल्यतारतम्येन बिम्बितां चित्तभित्तिषु।
Sir, you have got muted. Sir, you have got muted. Yes, now you are unmuted.
Thank you. Thanks a lot for all the kind words showered on me by yourself, your kind self, Srimati Sheila Rai ji, and also my fatherly figure, Professor Krishna Bhatt ji, to all the eminent people who have gathered here. I become so humble in front of you. I'm shrunk with humility because you are so kind, magnanimous, and generous, and I'm not enlightening anything. I'm not even teaching anything. It is just Swabodha Parishadhyartham Vipaschin Nikashasmasu. As the worthy disciple of Adi Shankaracharya, the great Sureshwaracharya, who hailed from central India, Mahishmati says, Na khyati labha pujartham granthosmabhirudiyate Swabodha Parishadhyartham Brahmavin Nikashasmasu. I am not going after name or fame or money or insisting. Only I am here to present my thoughts in the form of a book, only to see to it that whether my thoughts are right or wrong, I want to get it verified by the kind approach of the eminent people who have realized the higher truth. And this is the same way with all humility. I am echoing the great words of the great first pontiff of Sringeri. It is in our tradition, no one is standing up and the other one is not understanding. Both are sitting together with close proximity, and that is Upanishad. You would have all been knowing in Christianity, the word understanding, how it came from the discourses in church, from the sermons in the church. They used to stand on the altar and used to say, do you understand? Do you understand? Like that, looking down at people who are at the lower level. But in our tradition, it is close proximity, means Upanishad, very closely sitting together. It is intimate exchanging of the highest truth. And here, it is what little I know, I'll be submitting in front of you. And please permit me. And whenever I am unable to answer your queries, again I'll be getting inspiration from the great Upanishadic masters. Pippalada in his Prashnopanishad, in the Prashnopanishad says, if I am unable to find out answers, I shall be the other student with you and going to some other teacher and get the answer. So it is. Now, coming to social sciences and humanities and other aspects, in our tradition, no science or no art was treated in all exclusivity. It was never treated in vacuum. You all know about that. Only the case with me is to remind that, as quoting from the kind words of Sita ji, what she says in Ramayana, I'm not teaching you anything. Snehacha bahumanacha smaraye natushikshaye. Because of highest admiration, love and respect for you, I'm just reminding all these things, making you recollect, which you already know. I'm no way teaching anything. This is our way. In our tradition, it is not informing, as the great professor and philosopher of last century, M. Hiriyanna says, in Indian tradition, education is not merely for informing the minds, but to form the minds. So, in our tradition, it is said, what a teacher or what a mentor or what an instructor will do, he'll only be eradicating the hurdles which come in between the person and knowledge, the seeker and the knowledge. So it is the debris that are cleared and not anything else. As Michelangelo says, when he was carving the mighty sculpture David, how he could conceive that and how he could carve and complete that assignment. And people ask, I saw the mighty image in the marble rock itself. My only job left with me was to remove the debris, obstacles between me and that statue. This is the very spirit with which Sanatana Dharma used to take things. And that's why it is Swanabhutyekamanaya Namashantaya Tejase, as in the words of Bhartrihari. Our enlightenment comes and the obstacles are removed. That is how it is sculpting out, not fabricating. In English, the word fabrication also means conceit, vanchana, falsehood. But sculpting is a positive notion. This is how our tradition goes. And that's why before studying anything, we used to keep a telescopic view of all the Shastras and all the Kala. Vijnanam Shilpa Shastrayoho, it is said in Amarkosha. Vijnana is Vishesha Jnana, not just science. It's any special learning with certain methodology, that is Vijnana. Going to Bhagavad Gita, the word Vijnana means Jnanam Vijnana Sahitam. The great Acharya Shankar Bhagavad-pada, while commenting on this line, says, Jnana is theoretical information, Vijnana is practical realization. So, these subjects, practically realized subjects, they can be anything belonging to any aspect of learning, any aspect of art, or any aspect of science, or anything. And that's why we have Vidya Samuddesha and Sarva Vidya Samanvaya. These are certain basic features which one and all used to conduct and one and all used to go through. Vidya Samuddesha means what is the very purpose of this knowledge. And Vidya Samanvaya means how all the knowledge all the systems of knowledge are mutually complementing. In Vidya Samuddesha, we have one aspect called Anubandha Chatushtaya. Adhikari, Vishaya, Sambandha, and Prayojana. Adhikari means the qualification needed to pursue a branch of knowledge or certain field of learning. The student, his or her qualification, that is Adhikar. Who is he or who is she? And then Vishaya, what is that we are going to study? What is that we are going to understand? That is Vishaya. Means subject and object both come into picture. And Sambandha, how they are related to, how these two are related to. And the last one is Prayojana. Ultimately, what that we are going to do with this? Prayojana manuddishya na mandopi pravartate. It's a very
Sir, you have got muted probably again.
famous statement in Sanskrit. Without knowing the real use, even a fool will not should culminate in the self-enrichment. And that's why the great Yajnavalkya Maharshi in his Yajnavalkya Smriti says, Ayam he paramo dharma yad yogena atma darshanam. What is the highest purpose of all knowledge is, Maharshi says, if a person realizes himself, one fool will be eliminated on earth. And to that extent, the world will be happier. Even the same words are spoken by Carlyle in a later way. But our tradition ultimately aims at moksha. Moksha means it's not running away from the world, becoming one with the world, and becoming the world and even beyond the world. Brahma bhuyaya kalpate, Brahma bhuya. Yes, becoming one with everything. In that sense, a Jivan Mukta, a person who is liberated in the very body, in the very birth itself, he or she, with her or his presence itself, the world will be benefited. It is something like when a lamp is lit, under the light of that, every activity will never get disturbed by that, and no sin or no virtue is incurred by that. No पुण्य पापों का प्रस्ताव ही नहीं होता है दीप से. सब पुण्य पापों का हर एक व्यक्ति का पुण्य और पाप तो साक्षी रूप में होगा. This way, it is just sakshi. In that sense, to become witness to everything and be one with the highest, that is the purpose of every shastra. Though it is the ultimate purpose, intermediate purposes are there. They are Gauna Prayojana or Agantuka Prayojana, like that we say. And hence, unlike in the Western tradition, what is sociology means? Study of society, study of family, study of individual, like that we don't restrict. Why? Even in all our Shastra, we have that. For example, one may be wonder to know that Vatsyayana Maharshi, who wrote the wonderful Kama Sutra, he says, I wrote this for the sake of moksha. And in every science, every subject, our understanding is for that. And look at Natya Shastra. In Natya Shastra also, it is for that. It is for moksha. Alankar Shastra, Sangeeta Shastra, everything Veena Vadan Tattujna, Shrutijati Visharadaha, Alabhyascha Aptayasena, Moksha Marge Digachati. Again, quoting from Yajnavalkya Smriti. What I meant is, this approach itself differing. And unless we keep this in our mind, superficial understanding and superficial orientation of our minds and our younger minds towards Indianness will not be of much use. It's only cosmetic change. It will only be skin deep. Just by painting the wall, it will not get strengthened. It's only the real reinforcement. It's only the good brickwork and the very good cementing that is very important, and not mere coloring. That's why Vikriyantena Ghantabhi Gava Kshira Vivarjitaha Guneshu Yatna Kriyatam Kumatope Prayojanam. Just by tying the jingling bells around the necks of barren cows, they will not become milk yielding one, and we cannot sell them easily. This is our internal enrichment, and hence we have to understand that, and that's why one or two sessions of ours may seem to be disconnected or unconnected with the topic which we have to focus, but this may be the grounding which is needed. Certainly, we need it, and that is the real Sampradaya. Well, with this, we shall look into Anubandha Chatushtaya.
Somebody is not muted. Kindly mute your.
Yes, I think.
Yes.
I told about Anubandha Chatushtaya. Anubandha means association. Yes, we have to have this in our mind. Adhikari. What is our qualification? Generally, the modern world, especially driven by the West, is very keen about its rights. We are all becoming right conscious people, but not duty conscious. This is my right, this is my right, my body, my right. Like that, we every day we see such slogans. My right, right to know things, and right to have that, right to have this, like that. But what we are there for? Duty? Nothing is specified here. But in our Dharma Shastra, in our Sanatana Parampara, duty is have been very well focused. If one and all executes his or her duty properly, nobody need shout or cry for rights. Nobody need to bother about rights, because automatically this will happen. Why? Because human being by nature is animal. Only by culture is a human being. Ahara, Nidra, Bhayamaitunani. All these basic instincts are common to animals and even human beings. Only by some other virtues they are different. And those different things are termed as Purusharthas. And here again, people should not mistake that Purusharthas are the setup of male chivalrism and women are completely ignored. In our tradition, the words have to be understood in proper connotation, starting from the root. If not, you'll be misusing them, misunderstanding them, and will be poisoning the society also. What is the meaning of Purusha? Purusha is not man, not even woman. It means both. It means just the living being, human being. Human being is having no gender. It is beyond gender. So is Purusha. Purushete iti Purushaha. Pura is this body, and one which dwells in the body is Purusha. That is the Chaitanya, and Chaitanya is beyond gender. We know gender is only restricted to body and not to mind, not even to mind, let alone soul. Atma is Lingatita. When that being the case, it is our Atma that has to be realized. Purushaha anena archyate. That Purusha will be realized through these systems, and that system is called Purushartha. And that's why it is neither Vanitartha or Kumanartha. In Sanskrit, Kuman means man. Vanita or Stri means woman. It is neither Stri Artha or Kuman Artha. It is Purushartha. That is how this four-folded system of Purushartha is being recognized, and that's why our duties will fall into that category. How we can realize that ultimate truth? By following certain method. And so, looking at our present subject, understanding society, understanding the individual, understanding the family, and understanding the relationship between the individual and the family, family and the society, and vice versa, we have to have the background of certain things. And all that requisite is coming under Adhikari. And what is Vishaya? Vishaya is again the topic which we have to discuss. There the whole society is there, and society is very abstract. And then comes family. Even family is abstract, individual is concrete. So individual comes to picture. And how to define individual? It's again a very difficult thing. From the level of anatomy, if we see, it is mere body. And from the level of psychology, if we see, mere parts. And from the level of physics, if we see, Body is made up of certain elements and they have certain forces. So from physics and chemistry, a body is different. From zoology, the body is something. And from psychology, the body is something else. So at different layers, the definitions are different, the structures are different, understanding is different. Ultimately, we stop at one. That is, I am. Aham asmi. Beyond that, we don't have any other answer. If someone asks, who are you? Immediately we say, I'm man or woman or something, something. No, I didn't bother about your gender means I'm Indian. No, I don't bother about your nationality. I'm a boy or a girl. I don't bother about your age. I'm a scholar, I'm a writer, I'm a layman. No, I don't bother about your educational qualification. This is what? I am myself. And this is an inevitable answer. And that's why the word Atma comes into picture. The root of Atma means that one which has vibrance, one which has vibrations, one which has existence. Aniti iti Atma, aniti iti Atma means the very notion of life, very notion of original existence, independent existence, that is Atma. It starts from our breath and goes further and further down. So that's how the subjects, they differ at different levels. Ultimately, we have to understand the ultimate truth and then follow the other structures. And that's why in our tradition, the first lesson of any subject will be very, very important, very vast. It will be dealt with in an elaboration in much detail, and the further sections will be simpler and the simplest. You just take the case of music. In South Indian music, I'm a humble student of that. The first raga which will be taught is similar to the Bhairav of Hindustani music. That raga is called Maya Maulo Goda. Sari ga ma pa da ni sa, sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. Sari ga ma pa da ni sa, sa ni da pa ma ga ri sa. Like that, the raga structure goes. Here, the gap between every note differs. Sa, re, ga, sa to re close, re to ga wide. Like that, alternatively it will change. And to grasp this is difficult. But the difficult lesson has to be first followed. We all know breaking the ice is the most difficult thing. The first opening session is the most difficult thing. If you have a square block, 2 by 2 feet, and this has to be broken into 4 pieces, 1 by 1 each, you make a plus sign there, draw 1 by 1, so that 4 pieces are there. 1 piece will be cut open. For that, 1 to 2 breaks have to be completed. By carving 2 breaks, you have removed only 1 portion. Well, the 3 are still remaining. But by carving 2 lines, by cutting the 2 lines, automatically other 3 pieces will be resolved. 3 pieces will be obtained. It means what? To open out, to cut out the first piece, you need so much of effort. The same effort is sufficient to remove all other 3 pieces. 1:3. Here, 1 effort yields only 1, while that 1 effort afterwards will yield 3 multiplied by 3. In that way, the first lesson will be difficult. And that will be something like the testing operation, whether the students will really stay or not. Can they adhere to the system, the rigorous practice of the system or not? And even in dance, the very first movement in the 108 Karana systems, as propounded by the great seer Bharata, first one, Talapushpa Putam, is most difficult. So also in the Vedanta, the first 4 sutras are most important. They are called Chatusutri. Even in the Vidvat courses of Sanskrit philosophy, these 4 sutras are concentrated the most. Chatusutri, it is separately categorized. Like that, the first things are very, very important. And even in every aspect of Indian knowledge, that's how it goes on. We just see the first work of our tradition is Ramayana, the most important, and it became the fountainhead of all other kavyas. Param Kavinam Adharam. That's how it is being said. In that way, the Vishaya, that what we want to learn is connected with sociology, but ultimately it is connected with our soul. However, we have to have certain features of the ultimate philosophy and then ponder over the other details of the subject with which we are focused. And then the sambandha, how I am going to utilize, in what way I get connected, that is very, very important. That shows our reactions and our botherations towards subject. A small story goes like this. A temple was being built by the munificent funds of a philanthropist. 3 sculptors were working there, and a wayward traveler passed through that building temple which was under construction. He went to a first person and asked, "What is that you are doing? Don't you see? I am just carving the stone." First person said. Second person, to him the same question was put. He said, "Someone is giving money and we are building a temple and I will be getting my livelihood out of that. Don't you see it? I'm using my skills." The third person said, "By God's grace, a generous person got the mind to build a temple. Instead of that, if we had built a casino, or if we had built a den, or if we had built other buildings, that would not been spiritually elevating. He is building temple, and instead of calling other sculptors who are much qualified, he has called me. I myself cannot build a temple. I don't even have that much of resources, and I'm not capable of that because I have to support family. By doing so, I am participating in a great work. At the same time, my existential needs are also met with." These 3 answers, all the 3 are doing the same carving stone, but the approach, the sambandha is different. First one is merely bothered about the dry actions. Second one is bothered about money and vyavahara, worldly convenience. The third one is taking care of all these things, and beyond that is thinking of the Atma, thinking of the virtue. This is how the sambandha differs. What sort of sambandha we are going to have with it? Many of the Western scholars, they end up in the first 2, not in the third. And that's why if Sanskrit is being interpreted by a Western scholar, we become annoyed, not for any other thing, not for the sort of insecurity we are feeling. In what way they may be distorting without knowing. They may be innocently distorting, we don't know. And willfully distorting, we don't know even that. But whatever may be thinking, the end result will be the same. Very bad thing that's going to happen. That's why the sambandha is very, very important. I remember one thing. Sorry if I am digressing things, but I want to see that the Bharatiya Bhavana, Sanatana Dharma Bhavana, how it has to be inculcated and how it is present, all pervading in our Shastra, in our tradition. Without having a feeling for that, our approach to the present subject will not be meaningful. In Sanskrit, to by heart the cases vibhakti pratyaya, we have certain tables. For example, akaranta pulling shabda, Rama shabda, ikaranta strilingi shabda, Gauri shabda, akaranta strilingi shabda, Rama shabda, ikaranta pullingi shabda, Hari shabda, like that we have. For example, the first case, Prathama Bhakti, Rama, Ramo, Ramaha. Ditya Bhakti, Ramam, Ramo, Raman. Sambodhana, He Rama, He Ramo, He Ramaha. Like that, totally 8 vibhaktis and 3 numbers. Ekvachan, Vivachan, or Bahuvachan. Totally 28 times. Akaranta pulling shabdas are so many. For example, the pot, Ghata, is there. Pata, cloth is there. Ghata, Gatau, Ghataha. Pataha, Patau, Pataha. Like that we can make. But we go to the name of Rama and do it. Because By reciting the name of Pata or Ghata, we may get hold of grammar. But along with getting hold of grammar, by reciting in a table 28 times the name of Rama, will be incurring punya, and the great personality of Rama will be enforced and nurtured in our heart, and that is byproduct and a greater byproduct. This approach to every Shastra is very, very important. This is how Sambandha differs. Is it merely Jnapya Jnapaka Bhava? To get informed, Jnapya Jnapaka means Jnapaka information, memorizing things. Or Bodhya Bodhaka, getting instructed, Bodhya Bodhaka Bhava, Jnapya Jnapaka Bhava, Prapya Prapaka Bhava, attaining something. Shastra is Prapaka. I'll be getting Prapya, I'll be getting something. So many layers are there. What is that? We do have it. And that's why in our tradition, again I'm quoting many examples from Sanskrit literature because that can make things more clear. There are so many disputes and debates over the date of Kalidas. N number of papers are written. And in every Oriental conference, so many times, many papers would have appeared. The final and conclusive or decisive approach to the date of Kalidasa, like that since 120 years, papers are emerging, and yet it is in doldrums. Our tradition never bothered much about that, because in the search of the date of Kalidasa, one should not lose interest in reading the very works of Kalidasa. Abhinavagupta, a great champion of so many Shastras, a polymath from Kashmir, whose millennium was celebrated before few years, he says, Devam Vikriye Yatrotso Makashi. A person wanted to perform temple cart festival, Rathotsava, Rathyatra of the temple. For that, he had funds. And to get funds, he sold the images of the gods, because that was having good market in the Western world. Sold the images and arranged for the Rathayatra temple. The temple images have to be placed in the Ratha, and then they have to be moved all around the city. But unfortunately, the celebration went operation successful and patient died. That is going to happen, and that should not be the case. And that's why the Sambandha, what sort of Sambandha we have? That means we should not be blind to things. It is not Andhashraddha. It is something like the Shraddha a child will be having towards mother. A devout student will be having towards teacher. Like our pet animals will be having devout love for us. Like that the Shraddha should be seen. If not, the Sambandha will not be fruitful. It will not be Samyak Bandha. It will not be perfect association. It will be a Swoyamyasam Bandha. In some sort of bondage. It is not. Sambandha is not bondage. It is meaningful relationship. And third one is, fourth one is Prayojana. Prayojana is what we are going to do with each. Many times people, especially who are alien to our tradition, will be having mere curiosity and may distort things. And that's why Manu says, Naprashta kasyachit goyat nachanyayena pichatah janannapi medhavi jadaval loka achare. Unless sought, a person should not reveal. And a person who is asking with the wrong reasons should never be entertained. Recently, some scholars brought one thing for observation. In Indian tradition, Indological study are going on since 200 years in the West. There, much of wrong interpretation, misinterpretation has been done with reference to Sanatana Dharma, Vaidika Dharma, Shaiva, Vaishnava, and even Buddha, but not to that extent with Jaina, because Jain system is still intact with the Jain Munis and Jain Sadhis. Western scholars are not easily given allowance there. They are not easily given access to that. Our scholars earlier, before 200 years, they generously taught Westerners. And that's why now they are misinterpreting so many things. Though there are some good people there and certain good works have been done, but if you see the recent development, we call it as development also, whether Sheldon Pollock or Yuval Garner or Wendy Doniger, such people are very dangerous. And that being the case, we should know that this way of giving access to people for the wrong reasons should never happen. And that's so prayojana. What is that a person is going to do? And this is how, for ourselves, we have to question what is that we are going to do with it. It is only to fetch 2 square meals, or to get an award, or to get name, or to get fame, or to get money, or to enrich the knowledge. This is how we have to look into it. That's why I have to again make you remember the quotation of Sureshwaracharya, Swabodha Parishuddhi, whether my understanding is right or wrong. That has to be tested. This is how our tradition goes with Vidya Samuddesha. And then we have Vidyasthanas. Many people may be knowing all these things. For them, it will be mere repetition. Please bear with me, thinking that a few people may not be knowing. I am pondering over the details of Vidyasthana. Vidya with Jnane, that is the root. And the definition of Vidya as per Vishnu Purana is Savidya ya Vimuktaye. That is Vidya which will help us to get liberated from the clutches of ignorance. And ignorance is nothing but wrong adherence to this world. Wrongly attaching to this world is avidya. And we have to overcome that. Shankar Bhagavad in the opening of his Brahmasutra Bhashya, the magnum opus, says, Asya prahanayeva sarve lokikascha vedikaha vidya. For this eradication of avidya, only all the Vedic and non-Vedic jnanas, laukika jnana, are all being propagated and perpetuated. Hence, vidya is defined. But in the common parlance, any knowledge can be treated as vidya, because we do know that all knowledge ultimately will reach the highest truth. Though vidya is the real thing which liberates us, all vidya properly learned and properly executed will lead. You can see the corollary so beautifully done. That is the vidya, that is called as the vidya, which can liberate us. At the same time, everything can do. This may look paradoxical, but there is so much of meaning. If we pursue with the highest reverence and highest sincerity, it will lead us. It will go to that. We remember that Swami Vivekananda once taught Vedanta by taking the example of football playing. Every details of football were alluded to Vedanta and were done. When I was doing research in Indian Institute of Science, in one program, in one national conference on Betterji, a dance program was arranged. I presented the dance program in such a way that by presenting Ramayana, the meaning which was conveyed to the people was about Betterji. How Rama is the royal king, right royal king. And he married Sita, daughter of Mother Earth, Bhumija. And so all metals come from Mother Earth. And Sita represents metal. And Rama represents a benevolent king who uses all these resources properly. But things were fabricated and he had to go from his kingdom to forest. And then Sita was kidnapped by Ravana. Means metals were being misused by wrong people. You all know how China during before few years, how it completely evacuated all the hematite resources from Bellary of Karnataka. You all know Bellary, the region, notoriously famous, and also how the mining industry, it grabbed and it meddled the whole politics of Karnataka and other places, and even in Andhra, all that you know as part of history of our country. And China, something like Ravana, started abusing metallic resources. That's how Sita was kidnapped. And then Rama, with all his valor, with the help of Vanara, starting from the Hanuman, he could get back Sita. So the metallic respect was restored. And Agni Pariksha means metal was purified and was brought back to kingdom and was ready for public use. Unfortunately, our people started abusing. Sita got Lokapavada, and then ultimately what Sita said, bye bye to you, goodbye to you, I will go back to my mother earth. Means metals would say, bid farewell to us, we will not stay with you, we go back to our mother's class and no business with you. This so in the Ramayana itself we have so much of metallurgy. In the sense, how we interpret that is very, very important. In that way, things seen from different perspectives will have so wonderful import and wonderful suggestions, wonderful overtones and undertones and all. And that's why in our tradition is Ya Vidya Sa Vimuktaye, any Vidya can liberate. Even Ramayana can teach about metallurgy. Even Mahabharata can teach about mechanical engineering. It can happen when once we open up our mind and we connect to things. What is real knowledge? If we could express that knowledge by taking some other vidya, then that is real knowledge. And that's why, if we know that, if we know music, we can play any instrument, something like that. Any instrument can be played. In that sense, music is complete. The feel of that instrument is known. The technique of the instrument is known only when the system of music is intact with a person. If we know a language properly, if we know the grammar of one language properly, it will not be very difficult to understand other language and learn other language, some other language. So, Ekam Sat, one truth, if it is known, we can know other truths. We have to know that one truth. Yasmin Nukhalu Vijnate, Sarvamidam Vijnatam Bhavati. By knowing that one, we'll be knowing everything. That is what I have to know. And at the same time, anything and everything can lead to that. And there comes our Sanatana Dharma, magnanimity. We are not hell-bent upon one book, one prophet, one God, and all the people who worship different gods and follow different books and follow different preachers, they are all punishable and they are infidels. No such thing is in earth. Because anything can go to the ultimate truth. Yayathamam prapadyante tamstataiva bhajamyaham mama vartmana vartante manusha partha sarvasha. That's what Gitacharya Bhagavan Sri Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. And long before him, in the eternal Vedas, we have Ekam Sad Vipra Bhuda Vadanti. That is clearly said in the first mandala of Rig Veda. In the longest hymn of Rig Veda, Alpastava, we have that. This is how connectivity, interconnectivity with the subject is very, very important. And there in the Vidyasthanas, traditionally we have 18. Though it is said 14, total picture will be 18 in number. We have one book by name Prasthana Veda, authored by the great Madhusudana Saraswati, who hailed from Bengal, settled in Varanasi, and during his time Akbar also ruled. Generally, we have a tendency that when Akbar was ruling, Tulsidas ji, Sant Tulsidas ji wrote Ramayana. Why not the other way? When Sant Tulsidas ji was writing Ramayana on the banks of Ganga in Varanasi, Akbar ruled in Agra, Delhi. Here, that's how our approach should be corrected. And Madhusudan Saraswati, he writes in the Prasthana Veda, 18 Vidyasthana, the 4 Vedas, the 4 Upavedas, and 6 limbs, the Vedangas, and also other 4, Itihasa, Purana, Mimamsa, and Itihasa, Purana, Nyaya Shastra, and Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra. Totally, Mimamsa, Dharma Shastra 1. Some other way is also there, Itihasa, Purana, Agama, and then Darshan. We shall deal with them briefly to show how the interconnectedness of one subject with the other is very relevant and important. Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharva Veda, the 4 Vedas. Rig Veda goes by the name because it is completely versified. Rig means verse. verses. And Yajurveda is mainly composed of prose. Yajus means Gadya. And Samaveda, Sama literally means song. And in English, you have word Psalm, P-S-A-M, Psalm. Though their speech is silent, Psalm means it is a hymn, it is a devotional hymn. And then Atharva Veda. Atharva Veda goes by its name because of the name of Agni as Atharva. And it's also called as Atharva Angiro Veda. Angirasa, the main seer who propagated that Veda. And in Rig Veda, this is verse, Yajurveda prose and Samveda song. You just look from the structure itself. Any literature in any language will have only these three basic forms: verse, Padya, prose, Gadya, and song, Sama. Apart from that, no other structure can exist in language. This is how Vedas arrive at the basic and finer aspects. That's how any literature can be expressed only in three forms. Whether it be a novel or story or travelogue or a scientific treatise or whatever may be, it is written in prose. A kavya, an epic, a khandakavya, all that is in verse. A song, a jitakavya, a bhajan, all that is song. Song means set to music, raga and tal, like that. This is so. And at the same time, they deal with some other thing. I shall tell. Every Veda is divided into four: Samhita, Brahmana, Aranyaka, and Upanishad. Samhita mainly deals with the devotion to highest truth, that is Bhakti Yoga. And Brahmana is not connected with the Varna Brahmana. Brahma means Samhita Veda, and that which explains that Samhita mantra, the devotion of the Veda, and that is Brahmana. And devotion has to be explained in terms of action, because devotion without action is hypocrisy. I am so devoted to you. If husband says so to his wife and is not doing any help to her in kitchen, or not any work and coming with the groceries or provisions, in what way is love is there? Mere words are not sufficient. And that's why Shankar Bhagavad defines bhakti as Bhaktirnama Jnananishtha Kriya in Gita Bhashya. Means true devotion is action that is rooted in wisdom. What a beautiful definition of bhakti. True devotion is that action which is rooted in wisdom. And such an action cannot go wrong because it is rooted in wisdom and it is emanating from love. Means such an action which is emanating from love and rooted in wisdom means which is enriched both by bhava and buddhi, hridaya and buddhi, and then issuing out as kriya or karma. This is how the Brahmanas, they explain the devotion in the action form, in the ritual form, karma kanda. And much of action will be generating a lot of strain and fatigue because action is always connected with Rajoguna. So we should go inwardly. That withdrawal and contemplation is called Upasana, and in the Aranyakas we have the Upasana. Bhakti, Jnana, and Yoga. Upasana is meditative. And ultimate Bhakti, Karma. Karma is in Brahmanas. And Upasana, that is Yoga in the Aranyakas. And finally, Upanishads is ultimate Jnana. Means being in close proximity with the highest truth. That is what the Upanishads mean. Means in all the four Vedas, the emphasis is on devotion expressed through action and convergence with contemplation and realization with highest truth. That is how the four Vedas have been structured. And to understand the meaning of the Vedas, we have the 6 limbs: Shiksha, Vyakarana, Chandas, Nirukta, Jyotisha, and Kalpa. Here, 4 are directly connected with the language: Shiksha, Vyakarana, Nirukta, and Chandas. And 2 are connected with action. Shiksha means pronunciation, proper pronunciation. To have proper meaning, we should have proper pronunciation. Instead of saying pal, if we say pal, it will become meat. Pal is fruit, while pal is meat. Are you a palahari or palahari? Are you a vegetarian or non-vegetarian? And asking with different connotations of pronunciation, the meaning will change. That is shiksha. And then Vyakarana. Vyakarana is knowing the structure of the language and not just the language. We have in English, grammar is being used in a bigger sense also. He is unaware of the grammar of driving. He is unaware of the grammar of medicine, like that people say. And that general meaning is also seen long ago in our tradition. It is established. And the very word will yield that. V plus Akarana, Vyakarana. V, especially. Akarana means structuring, specialized structuring, specialized analysis, specialized deconstruction, specialized what I should mean, specialized way of differentiating things, what we call in mathematics and all fractional differentiation, finite element technique, like that. That is how going to the details. It is the microscopic analysis of things, and that is called Vyakarana. And it also means constructing. Then we have Nirt etymology. Many times people go wrong in understanding our tradition and Shastra because they are unable to know the innate meaning of the words they are using. Our tradition has different way of looking at things. Differently structured words are there. Differently structured things are there. For example, uh, there is a seer by name Kashyapa. I belong to that Kashyapa Gotra. My Gotra is Kashyapa, the great seer who was father of both gods and demons, Deva, Danava, Pita. He is Kashyapa. And why he is called? In the Yajurveda, it is said, in the Yajuraranyaka, it is said that Pashyaka Kashyapo Bhavati. He who has a vision will become Kashyapa. Pashyaka will become Kashyapa. Pashyaka, if you reverse the word, it will become Kashyapa. Means, why it is so? He had realization of the highest truth, but he never wanted to exhibit. And that's why, though people called him a great person, Pashyaka, Pashyaka, he, with all modesty, reversed that name so that his identity was concealed in all humility. This is how, to know that who is father of Devas and Danavas, and to whom even the trees are children, even the birds are children. For example, Aranyani is one wife of him, according to our mythology. Bhagavad Purana says, and Vishnu Purana, other Puranas too say, all serpents were children of Kashyapa, whose mothers were two, one Kadru and other Surasa. Kadru had all Sarpas and Surasa had all Nagas as their children. And Surabhi was married to Kashyapa, and her children are all cows, goats, sheep, and other domestic animals, like that. What that metaphor indicates, a person who is realized Pashyaka will treat the whole creation as his children. That is the real meaning. And if not, telling that it's all bullshit, it's all Mumba Jamba, it's a Puranic story. Who believes a person marrying so many wives and then having so many things, even starting from trees, birds, and animals are children, means a person who thinks, who realizes that Sarvabhutastham Atmanam, Sarvabhutani Chatmani, looking at the whole world within himself and seeing one's own self in the whole world. He is the real Jnani, it is said. If not, what else is the real Vidya? Unless a person extends one's own self in all the beings, in all that created, he or she will not be friendly in the real sense. He or she will not be a true well-wisher to the creation. And that's why, to understand society or individual or family or whatsoever, this compassion, this wisdom, this awareness is very important. That's so every word has its special etymology. We have other word called rasa. Again, inversion. Sara. Sru means flow. Rasa is not static. Art enjoyment is very dynamic. Art is not an idle entertainment. It is a very creative and dynamic entertainment. And that is the meaning which we get. Why all these things are made so? For that Aitareya Upanishad clearly says, it is found in many other Vedic portions also. Paroksha priya iva hi devaha pratyaksha dvishaha. The gods are not interested in direct expression, they want indirect expression. Because Anand Kumar Swami, a very great interpreter of Indian culture and arts, he says in his book, Transformation of Nature in Art, there is one essay by name Paroksha. There he beautifully enumerates the meaning of this great mantra. It is suggestion that is more important than expression. In aesthetics, it is said, Dhvani, suggestion, that the soul of Kavya, as Anandavardhana, 9th century says, Kavyasyatma Dhvani. Irina says, Dhvani is the failure that succeeds. I am fond of quoting two lines from Tulsidas ji. When Sita was worshipping Gauri Ma in the garden, Sri Ram and Lakshman, they passed through that. Attendant Sakhi, a close friend of Sita, goes there, looks at them and comes back and says, Syama Gaura Kim Khaim Bakhani Gira Anayana Naina bin Bani. Sorry if my pronunciation is wrong.
Very
I don't
correct.
know. I'm unable to say whether that person is black in color, he is dark in color, or fair in complexion. For what my eyes saw, they have no mouth, and what my mouth is uttering, they have no eyes. It has no eyes. Means the beauty of Rama and Lakshmana are indescribable is suggested so beautifully here. This is Paryayukta Alankara, obliquely saying, and this is the most effective thing. Instead of that, if she had come out with some 20 dohas about the beauty, or some 10 or 15 Ghanaksharis about her beauty, his Lakshmana's or Ramaji's beauty, she could not have effectively told. This way, what we need effective communication is that. And that's why the gods are much interested in oblique expression. Also, just look at the things connected to our topic of present discussion. Relationship between parents and children, husband and wife, all these things, they should never be prescriptive. They should be suggestive. That's how it comes. Affection has to be shown in action, then words will not be needed for that. In this way, that effectiveness of communication makes the knowledge foolproof and communication 100% without any transformation losses. Because of transformation losses, we have so much of power loss, power grid failure and all in our country or in the world itself. And that being the case, this way of Vyanjana Vyapar, that is very, very important. And that's how Paroksha Priya Iva Deva. Highest truth cannot be directly told. It has to be told in an indirect way. I remember one story. A very knowledgeable person was approached by a so-called rationalist within court and wanted to prove that this person knows nothing. He is a fake person and came with the rationalist. He went to that person and said, "What is in my hand?" He told, "It's a small bird, the color, the gender, everything." Then he told, "Ask whether it is living or dead, you tell me." If he says dead, he would leave it. If he says living, he would crush it inside and kill it. That's what he thought. Then the other person said, the Jnani said, "It is in your hands." Means, if you want to kill, you will be killing. If you don't want to, you will not be. So, indirect way saying everything is in your hand. That's why be careful. I know everything about you. This way of indirect expression, that's very important. That is Paroksha Priya Ivahi Devaha Pratyaksha Dvishaha. This is how Nirukta has so much to say. So much. And I told about the meaning of the word Purusha. How Purushete iti Purusha. And that's why Purusha Pradhan Samaj means we are people-centric, not man-centric or woman-centric. That's all. earlier we had a big discussion about Rashtrapati. How come Rashtrapati, when Pratibha Patil ji became Rashtrapati, should she be called Rashtrapatni or Rashtramatā whatsoever? No. Pati Shabda is not connected with husband. It is about lordship. It is about ownership. Guru need not be male. And that's why female guru is also guru and male guru is also guru. No female guru is called Guruvi. Then the meaning will change. She is heavy, in that it will mean. And will be commenting unwantedly on the physique of that person. It is not. So, etymology has different things to do with. And unless people who want to do research in Indian subjects, in Indian sciences and arts, with the purpose of revealing something usefully new, they should be aware of these things. If not, Bibhet Telpashrutat Vedaha Mamayam Prahareti. Vedas are shuddering, they are shivering because people with little knowledge, people with superficial knowledge may come and misrepresent that. That's why always Vedas are scared towards people who are little informed or meagerly informed. And then we have Shiksha, Vyakarana, Nirukta and Chanda. Chandas is the metrical pattern, the rhythmic pattern. The rhythmic pattern, even before understanding the words, will communicate the emotion. As an example, I shall recite one line from Jayadeva and another line from Bhattanarayana in Sanskrit. You yourself may know. Nindati Chandana Mindu Kirana Manu Vindati Khedamadhiram Yala Nilaya Milanena Garala Nivakala Yatimala Yasadiram. One line from Jaydev, Gita Govinda, and two lines from Veni Samhara Bhattanayaka. Chanchat Bhuja Bhramita Chanda Gada Bhighata Sanchurnitoryu Garasa Siyodarasya Yana Vanadagara Shonita Shona Pani Uttam Shaishyati Kachanstavadevi Bhima. Even person who is not at all aware of Sanskrit will know that the first one is dealing with some tender situation and the second one is dealing with something agitated. First is the messenger, Radha's friend, going to Krishna and explaining the viraha, separation of Radha, pain of Radha. Well, the other one is the roaring of Bhimasena against his enemies. These two, very chandas itself, very word order itself, very connotation itself gives that much of impact. And then these four deal with language. Communication will be efficient only when we have proper phonetic order, proper grammar, proper etymology, and proper diction, proper rhythmic pattern. These four means any subject has to be dealt with the written form or spoken form, means it will take the linguistic expression. Linguistic expression has so much of importance and that has to be properly taken care of. Ultimately, it is form and form is meant to emanate the content. Then we have the other two, Jyotisha and Kalpa. Jyotisha deals with how to calculate time, how to know the right time, how to understand the seasons, like that. That deals with Kala, because Kala is very abstract, unlike Desha, its counterpart. Desha, space, can be very easily understood because we see the things, we see the objects, but we don't see time. We are into time, and time can only be felt, it cannot be seen or heard. And that's why our ancestors, they emphasized more on the abstract things. One good scholar from the West, Fritz Stahl, long ago wrote one booklet, very interesting booklet, Panini and Euclid. Panini, Maharshi Panini, the great seer who gave the grammar. Even before him, there were many grammarians, but Panini is the final word. And Euclid, is the mathematician especially known for geometry from Greece. Western world follows the Euclidean method, while the Indian tradition follows the Paninian word. Panini is for abstraction, Euclid for concretization. Geometry means it is spatial. Paninian Vyakarana language means temporal, time-oriented. In that way, our system focuses more on Kala, while the Western, but we go by Kala, we reach space through Kala and realize Kala through space, like that. And that's why in the West, everything is concrete. You just see their music, it is also something like that. Our music is something different. These two approaches are different, but the purpose of both is to seek the truth. But what I mean is, there is certain difference, and that's why, from the Western perspective, we see our tradition. It may look hazy, incomplete, amorphous, and Western one very systematic, symmetric, methodical, and more modern, like that. But we need both approaches. But for the things like humanities and others, Indian approach is far more better than the Western approach, where time becomes an important feature, where emotion becomes an important feature, where mind becomes an important feature. Indian tradition has a higher edge, has a higher benefit. And then the last one is Kalpa Sutras. Kalpa Sutras have 4 branches: Dharma Sutra, Griya Sutra, Shulba Sutra, and Shauta Sutra. Griya Sutra deals with the individual and the family mainly. And Dharma Sutras, they deal with the society. And what we are talking about, the individual, family, and the society, they are focused more in these 2 aspects, Griya Sutras and Dharma Sutras. And the individual, family, and society are connected through certain rituals, certain activities, certain collective activities, and they are represented in Shrauta Sutras, and they are aided by Shulpa Sutra. It is the mathematical dimension which is needed, means the engineering, the mathematics, the physics, the geometry that are needed for the rituals. And Jyotisha deals with Kala, and Shulpa Sutra deals with Desha, space. I think with this, I shall conclude today's deliberations. If you have any questions, I would be very happy. Let me try to answer them. If not, as a seeker, I'll always be joining you and try to approach others. In the next weeks, from next week onwards, I think we'll be meeting on Thursdays at 8 o'clock. We shall continue that. I shall discuss more about the Dharma Sutra, Griya Sutra. They become the fountainhead of our society. That we shall continue in the question.
Thank you so much, Dr. Ganeshji. It has been wonderful to listen to you. This is Amarji completing the program, talking about the gems of words which you have given to all of us. I'm sure from North India to South India, we have a participation also from Andaman Nicobar and Mumbai and Diu Daman. So you have crossed the boundaries of all seas. So it is a Langho, Samundro Langanam, which is very beautifully done. And we are all very happy that you have come to us. And we are sure in next series of every Thursday, same time, we would have very specific areas of dealing, including what you're saying just now about Dharma Shastra and Dharma Sutra you're going to take. I'm very grateful on behalf of all of us. And at the same time, though we have crossed the time limit, but it is very beautiful crossing. It is as good as crossing to Lanka. We have come to know knowledge and seas of ocean and all. I would have few minutes, only few minutes for certain very specific query about this series or some clarification which they could not get out of Professor Shatabadani's speech. Very few comments, please. We can take 2 or 3, please. Anybody who wants to speak can unmute and come by introducing the name first. Thank you.
Good evening, sir. I am Sudhir Babu from Kerala. Can you hear me?
Yes,
We
we
hear
can.
you.
Go ahead.
We hear you.
My question is about the interpretation of text. When you interpret a particular word with the help of Yaska or Panini, how we can fix that particular meaning? Because Panini and Yaska gives a lot of meanings to a particular root. What is the technique of fixing a particular meaning from these varied meanings given by Panini and Yaska?
Fine. Let me try to answer this.
Yes, please.
We have yoga and Rudy, both are there in the stand of the grammarians. And Niruktakaras, they say that yoga is very, very important. For technical terms, it is the yoga, and for non-technical terms, it is the Rudy. That's how we have to make a samanvaya. And in the beginning of the Nirukta itself, Niruktakara Yaska says, Na nirvakaranaya, na avyakaranaya nirbruya. This particular science will be misused if it is propagated to people who are unaware of grammatical traditions. That's why etymology should be in the safe hands of grammar. Then grammar is a bigger set, superset, and within that specialization is nirukta, and that's why yoga should be used. Etymological meaning should be used for technical terms and most fundamental terms, and the other for all the other things. The rudhi is very, very important usage, because prayoga sharanaha vyakaranaha. The grammarians always go by the word. It's very word and word, they're inseparable. That's how they say.
बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया, बहुत बढ़िया.
We have a scope
you,
of
thank
two
you.
more queries, please. If there is no query, research thought, there is a person with a name called Research Thought. I am unfortunately not knowing the gender and the place of the person, but if you have a question, you have raised a hand, you can go ahead by identifying your name, please. Mr. or Miss Research Thought, please.
I would suggest that you read out the question, Amarjeev ji, if that
No,
person
there is no question, but one Seema Garg has taken a question to us. A new concept, Ramayana, and knowledge on many more subjects gained today. That is her observation only. We don't have any particular question in our chat box.
Okay.
And now we have another guest coming named Madhavi Keshri. I admit him or her. There is no question. Sometimes what happens, Shilaji, when the speaker is so brilliant, we are so much aware of the words and words. So we do feel King Kartavya Vimula. We become Vimula because knowledge is so much infested in us. So I'm sure with these words, I would invite Professor Adian Vajpayee to come and deliver his chair remark. Please, Professor Vajpayee.
मैं बहुत संक्षेप में अपनी बात रखूंगा. सबसे पहले तो बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. बड़ी कृपा की गणेश जी ने हम सभी के ऊपर, और उसके लिए मैं आदरणीय कृष्ण भट्ट जी का बहुत बहुत आभारी हूँ. और आपके लिए इतना ही कहा जा सकता है, क्वच सूर्य प्रभु वंशा क्वचाल्प विषयामति तेतुर्सु दुष्रो मोहादुपेना सागरम. कालिदास ने लिखा है, कहाँ तो सूर्य से उपजा हुआ वंश, रघुवंश, सूर्यवंश, तो कहाँ मैं छोटा सी बुद्धि वाला कालिदास. ऐसा लगता है बहुत समुद्र को छोटी सी नाव लेकर के पार कर रहा हूँ. वैसी स्थिति मेरी हो रही है. हाँ, तो आपने ज्ञान का इतना बड़ा सागर हम सबके पास में प्रस्तुत किया है, और मेरे पास तो कुछ समझिए कि मेमोरी स्टॉक है पहले से, क्योंकि बीए तक संस्कृत पढ़ा है, कुछ उपनिषदों को भी पढ़ा है. लेकिन जिन्होंने बिल्कुल नहीं पढ़ा है उनके लिए थोड़ी सी तकलीफ तो हुई होगी, लेकिन सबने जो है इसका आनंद प्राप्त किया है, इसका मैं अनुभव कर सकता हूँ. आदरणीय कृष्ण भट्ट जी को इसलिए मैं धन्यवाद दूंगा. रामायण को आपने कोट किया, रामचरितमानस को कोट किया, उसमें तुलसीदास जी कहते हैं कि जिस प्रकार से कोई राजा एक पुल बना देता है, छोटी सी चींटी भी उस पर चढ़ कर के नदी को पार कर जाती है, उसी प्रकार से आप जैसे पुल को बना दिया है आदरणीय कृष्ण भट्ट जी ने, जैसे हमारे जैसे अज्ञानी लोग भी सहज रूप से इस ज्ञान गंगा को पार करने वाले हैं। आपका उद्बोधन बहुत ही सारगर्भित रहा है। आपने लगभग जो पृष्ठभूमि है हमारे समाज विज्ञान के का आधार, जिसकी की बात शीला जी ने की, आदरणीय कृष्ण भट्ट जी ने की, आपने उसका जो परंपरागत जो आधार है, एक ऋतु तिवारी जी कुछ पूछना चाह रही हैं। अमरजीव जी आप
मैं राष्ट्रीय अध्यक्ष जी का संबोधन है, आप अपना जारी रखें, मैं उनसे प्रश्न चैट बॉक्स में लेता हूँ।
ठीक है, ठीक है,
आप कंटिन्यू रखें।
हाँ जी, हाँ जी। तो जो बायो प्रस्तुत किया गया, स्पेशली जो डेटा प्रस्तुत किया आदरणीय कृष्ण भट्ट जी ने और शीला जी ने, गणेश जी आपका जो बायो और जो ज्ञान का बायो है वो उससे कहीं अधिक है। डेटा तो कोई भी प्रसन्न कर सकता है, लेकिन बायो तो कोई भी प्रस्तुत नहीं कर सकता है। आपका जो नॉलेज का जो बायो पूल है और जिस तरह से आपने प्रस्तुत किया है वो अद्वितीय है, इससे कोई तुलना नहीं की जा सकती। ऐसे अवतारी पुरुष ही इस प्रकार की विधा में पारंगत हो सकते हैं, इसके ज्ञान की जो परंपरा है उसको जीवित रखे हुए। मैं आपके ज्ञान को प्रणाम करता हूँ अपनी तरफ से और पूरे समाज विज्ञान की तरफ से। आपने बात जो उपनिषद परंपरा से की थी, पहली बार जो अंडरस्टैंडिंग स्टैंडिंग अंडरस्टैंडिंग का भाव अंडरस्टैंड कर पाए हम लोग, कितनी अच्छी बात आपने की। चैपल में जाके खड़े खड़े ही बात होती है और उपनिषद में बैठे बैठे ही बात होती है। तो इस वर्चुअल मोड में हम उपनिषद परंपरा में ही आ रहे हैं। आप हमारे इस समय गुरु व्यास गद्दी पर विराजमान हैं, हम सब आपके शिष्य हैं। शंका समाधान भी उसी प्रकार से होता चला जाएगा। आज कुछ समय सीमा कारण हो सकता है कम शंकाएं आई होंगी, धीरे धीरे जैसे जैसे आप हमको बताते जाएंगे, हमारे मन में चिंताएं शंकाएं भी आती चली जाएंगी, हम आपसे प्रश्न पूछते चले जाएंगे, हमारे ज्ञान की परंपरा जो सुदृढ़ होती चली जाएगी। जो आपने बात बताई पूरी ज्ञान परंपरा की, अधिकारी कौन हो, विषय क्या हो, संबंध किस प्रकार के हों और प्रयोजन किस प्रकार के हों, मुझे लगता है इन चारों ही चीजों में सब कुछ विद्यमान है। हर एक व्यक्ति अधिकारी नहीं हो सकता है, हर एक विषय पढ़ाया नहीं जा सकता है, विषय का अधिकारी के साथ में संबंध है, संबंध जो है सबके बीच संबंध है, और अल्टीमेट समझिए उसका प्रयोजन लक्ष्य क्या होता है। इन सारी चीजों को आपने बहुत अच्छे ढंग से व्यक्त किया है। आपने पुरुषार्थ चतुष्टय की विशेष रूप से व्याख्या की। पुरुषार्थ में जो अभी लोग कहते हैं पुरुष मतलब कि पुरुष प्रधान समाज है जिसकी बात थी, उस पुरुष को उसने ऋग्वेद का जो पुरुष सूक्त है, उस ब्रह्म पुरुष है, उसमें स्थापित करके धर्म अर्थ काम और मोक्ष की सर्वव्यापकता को जिस अद्भुत ढंग से आपने परिभाषित किया है, आत्मा को केंद्र में रख करके जिस प्रकार से आपने परिभाषित किया है, अहम अस्मि, अपने शरीर को एनाटॉमी से लेकर के साइकोलॉजी से लेकर जोलॉजी से लेकर सब हटा करके जो शेष बचता है, जो विशेष शेष बचता है आत्मा, और आत्मा के स्वरूप का जिस वैज्ञानिकता के साथ और जिस सूक्ष्मता के साथ में आपने वर्णन किया है, मुझे लगता है सिर्फ आप ही का आत्मा की व्युत्पत्ति मूलक विशेषता बताई, अनितीत आत्मा, ये जो विशेषता बताई है, ये भी एक महत्वपूर्ण विषय आपने लिया है। वेदों के एक एक विषय, वेद के और वेद के अध्ययन की पद्धतियों की 6 पद्धतियां और 6 पद्धतियों के भिन्न भिन्न अध्ययन करने के जो अंग आपने बताए हैं वो भी अद्भुत हैं, जिसके अंदर शिक्षा, व्याकरण, निरुक्त, छंद, ज्योतिष और कल्प, ये वही बता सकता है जिसने कि सारे ज्ञान को आत्मसात कर लिया हो, अपने अंदर जिसने की उतार लिया हो। आप वास्तव में हमारी जो वैदिक परंपरा की जो ऋषि परंपरा है उसका प्रतिनिधित्व तो नहीं कर रहे हैं आप, ऋषि परंपरा के ऋषि ही हैं। प्रतिनिधि करने में भी कोई व्यक्ति भिन्न हो जाता है, आप एक ऋषि तुल्य ही व्यक्ति हैं, उनमें और आप में कोई भी अंतर इसलिए नहीं है कि जो ज्ञान उनके अंतःकरण में विद्यमान था वही ज्ञान जो है वो आपके अंतःकरण में विद्यमान है। एक बहुत अच्छी बात, मुझे अच्छी उसकी कोई मैं प्रमाण नहीं दे रहा हूँ, आपने कहा कि परोक्ष से, परोक्ष और कॉन्क्रीट, डायरेक्ट और इनडायरेक्ट, एकदम मैटेरियलिस्टिक भाव में वेस्टर्न चलता है और हम एब्स्ट्रैक्ट व्यंजना में अभिव्यक्त करते जाते हैं। एक अनुभवजन्य है और एक प्रत्यक्ष रूप से जो हम देखते हैं इंद्रिय जनित होता है, उस बोध से होता है। इन दोनों में एक बेसिक डिफरेंस है। एक इंडिविजुअलिस्टिक है, एक पूरा होलिस्टिक वे में हम बात करते हैं। ये सारे जो अंतर हैं, इनको हमारे जो समाज विज्ञान के विषय हैं, जो आपने ज्ञान बताया है, इस हम किस प्रकार से समाजशास्त्र में ले जाएंगे, किस प्रकार से अर्थशास्त्र में ले जाएंगे, किस प्रकार से इतिहास में ले जाएंगे। आपने ये भी सचेष्ट किया, जो बहुत बड़े अंग्रेज विद्वान जो हमारे सामने जिन्होंने बताया है हमारे ज्ञान को, उन्होंने गलत ढंग से निरुक्त करके, गलत इंटरप्रेट करके हमारे सामने प्रस्तुत कर दिया, और उसी को ही कोट करते हुए उसी से चीजें निकालते हैं। गलत चीज से गलत चीज निकाल कर गलत को पुष्ट करते हुए हम गलती में ही फंसते चले जा रहे हैं। ये बहुत सचेष्ट किया है कि जो इंग्लिश में हमको उपलब्ध ज्ञान है, हमारे वेदों का ज्ञान है, उसके बारे में हमको सतर्क होकर के सोचना पड़ेगा, और आप जैसे विद्वानों से मिलकर के उसको शुद्ध करने का भी एक प्रयास हमारे बीच में होना चाहिए। रामचरितमानस की वो चौपाई जो वास्तव में भावुक कर देती है, गिरा अनैन नैन बिन बाणी, सखी कहती है अरे भाई, जिन्होंने देखा उनके पास तो शब्द नहीं है, और जिनके पास शब्द हैं उनके पास में ना, उनके पास आंखें नहीं है, हम कैसे वर्णन करें। तो मुझे लगता है शतावधानी गणेश जी, आपके ऊपर भी यही चौपाई जो है वो लागू होती है। आपकी जो बातें हुई हैं उनको बात कहने के लिए हमारे पास में शब्द नहीं है, और शब्द जो देख सकते थे आपकी ज्ञान प्रज्ञान को, वो हमारे पास में वो दिव्य चक्षु नहीं है, वो ज्ञान चक्षु नहीं है। गिरा अनैन नैन विनवाणी। मैं आपको प्रणाम करता हूँ। प्रणाम करता हूँ आदरणीय श्री कृष्ण भट्ट जी को जिन्होंने जोड़ा, आदरणीय राजकुमार भाटिया जी को, आदरणीय शीला जी को, हमारे कार्य परिषद के बहुत सारे सदस्य इस प्रयोजन में जुड़े हुए हैं, उनको भी नमस्कार करता हूँ, धन्यवाद देता हूँ। धन्यवाद।
अनादरणीय का भी नाम ले लीजिए।
अमरजीव लोचन जी, किनका?
अनादरणीय
अमरजीव लोचन जी आपका नाम ले रहा हूँ, उन्होंने बहुत प्रयास किए हैं, उनको मैं धन्यवाद देता हूँ। हमारे गोविंद जी ने बहुत प्रयास किए हैं। अब बहुत सारे लोग हमारे साथ जुड़े हैं, 140 लोगों की हमारे पास में सूची आई थी, बहुत से जुड़े होंगे, नहीं तो भविष्य में जुड़ने वाले हैं। और मैं अंत में एक बात कहूँगा, हमारे इस पूरे आयोजन के लिए मैंने पत्र लिख के दी, सूचनाएं दी थी। आदरणीय दत्तात्रेय जी हासबोले जी जो हमारे सह सरकारवाह हैं, उन्होंने शुभाशंसाएं हमारे इस व्याख्यान माला की सफलता के लिए आदरणीय गणेश जी की प्रशंसा करते हुए लिखा है। इससे जो है राष्ट्रीय समाज विज्ञान परिषद वो जो है काफी इससे लाभ मिलने वाला है। और मैं जो हमारे साथी जुड़े हुए हैं उनसे मैं अनुरोध करूंगा, वे अपने विषय रखें, समाज शास्त्र के जो विषय हैं उनको रखें, अर्थशास्त्र के विषय रखें, राजनीति का विषय रखें, इतिहास के विषय रखें, दर्शन विषय रखें, और प्रश्न करते समय वे अपने जो आधुनिक ज्ञान के हैं उनके विषय सामने रखें। उसे कनेक्ट करके हम इसको जो है एक परिमार्जित स्वरूप प्रदान करना चाहते हैं। अंतिम उद्देश्य हमारा यही है कि आधुनिक समाज विज्ञान जिसको हम पढ़ते पढ़ाते हैं, जिसकी बात आदरणीय भट्ट जी ने की, उसे हम भारतीय ज्ञान परंपरा से, भारतीय समझ से, भारतीय स्वरूप, भारतीय कलेवर हमको उसे प्रदान करना है, और इसके लिए पूरी ये व्याख्यान माला आयोजित कर रही है। पुनः सभी को धन्यवाद। वंदे मातरम।
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मैं 2-3 छोटी सूचना देना चाहता हूं कि बहुत लोगों ने प्रश्न पूछा है, ये फेसबुक पे लाइव होने के बाद संयोजित होकर वहां रहेगा, और यूट्यूब का जो चैनल बना है राष्ट्रीय समाज विज्ञान परिषद पूरे नाम से है वो, वहाँ भी आप लोग देख सकते हैं। ये 4 घंटे लगेंगे उसमें अपलोड होने में। We have had direct live Facebook program on this कार्यक्रम, and you can see it is a recorded material there. The home page for you Facebook is Rashtriya Samaj Vigyan Parishad. Please go there and have a look on that. And I am once again grateful to each one of you for this wonderful evening, and we have enjoyed it thoroughly, learned it thoroughly. Namaskar sabhi ko. With these words, we end the program. Thank you so much. See you
Thank
on
you.
10 September, next Thursday, 8 o'clock, 10 September. Namaskar.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Shatal.